Welcome, everybody. This is the countdown and the Friday forecast merged together. Super show, if you will. I'm your boy King. That over there is your good friend Jimbo. And I did the math a little wrong. And so that's kind of why we're here a little bit. You know, I had I didn't quite...
You got 99.9% of the way there.
Yeah, because when we were originally doing this, I thought, hey, we'll time everything out and we'll have everything done right before the season and everything like that. And then, of course, me forgetting that, with 8 divisions, I was like, 8 divisions, 8 weeks out, and we'll do Friday forecast because that's when we're going to also predict the games and do all that kind of stuff. And dumb me, not realizing the season starts on Thursdays. I mean, I knew that, but again, I'm dumb. So, so here we are. We've got the 2 things we've been doing now this whole off season. It's been an 11-week process because we started off the first countdown doing our first 2 picks of our power rankings, which were number 12 and number 11. And as time has gone on, we've just continued adding. Now we've done the Friday forecast where we're doing our predictions for all the divisions. We're going to do some playoff predictions too later on. So we have all that. Now we've done all divisions as far as predictions. We've done all the power rankings up until number 1. And that is what today is. Today is the revelation of both Jimbo and mine. English has failed me. I've been hanging around you too long. I got the Jimbo grades going on. But anyway, we're both revealing our number 1 teams in our power rankings today, and also showing you our predictions for our home division, our NFC East, where both Jimbo's Philadelphia Dirtbirds play, and of course my legendary, fantastic 100th anniversary celebrating New York Football Giants play as well, and we'll see where each of us think our teams will end up. Jimbo, all that being said, how you doing?
Well, first, I'll say this about the Giants logo at their 50. I guess they're predicting what Daniel Jones is going to do all year, just step back and throw interceptions.
You're just saying things to hurt me. Now you're just trying to be mean.
But no, pretty good. Went on like a little mini vacation over the weekend. Went down to Maryland, visit some friends.
Got some crabs. Very nice. When you're on vacation, sometimes you catch crabs, sometimes you don't. But yeah, that's good. Although you did say that for the first time you've had real scallops.
Yeah, real scallops.
Not the imitation crab meat scallops that you said you've had before. Not only scallops, bourbon bacon wrap scallops.
Yes.
Let's go.
Andy was the one that picked it out. He's like, let's try that. And I looked at Alicia and I said, have you ever had scallops before? And she said a long time ago. So I'm like, well, worst case, she'll eat them. Andy will eat anything because he's a kid. And I was like, you know what? Bacon, bourbon. Worst case, it'll cover up the taste that I might not like. I think I would eat scallops plain, like without the bacon.
How could you not? For scallops are like, well, I'm a seafood nut.
Yeah.
I love seafood. I love anything. Scallops, clams, mussels, oysters, shrimp, lobster. If it comes from the sea, I want to eat it,
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is I did break Andy and Alicia because I got fried shrimp, onion rings, and hush puppies with it. And they came out with, the typical shrimp cocktail. And they came out with this other thing, other dipping sauce. And I took my pinky, tasted it. I'm like, it tastes like honey, but it didn't seem as thick as honey. It was kind of a little bit more
watery, less viscous, if you will. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that tastes like it. So I said to her, I said, "Try this. What do you think that is?" And she tried. She's like, "I think it's honey." I said, "I know, but it's not thick." So the waiter came by and I said, "Excuse me, what is this?" He goes, "It's honey." And I said, "Oh, okay." He walked away. I dipped the hush puppy in it, took a bite. I looked at her and said, "It's a Burger King French toast stick." Because their hush puppy tasted so sweet already with the honey, made it taste like syrup. And she ate it. She's like, "Now I can't eat hush puppies ever again because of you."
Why? Listen, Are we going to deny the fact that just stuffing yourself full of high fructose corn syrup from Burger King is a bad thing? Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
But, first of all, you're making me fucking hungry because now I am trying to curse less.
Yes.
I'm trying to curse less. Now I'm hungry. Now I want seafood. Now I want fried shrimp. I want bacon wrapped scallops. I want lobster. I want lobster bisque. Oh, I love lobster bisque. It's so good. Oh, lobster bisque is good. So glad you had a good time down there. Glad you watched a little Notre Dame. Notre Dame looking good. All right.
Found some Guinness. Found some Guinness to drink with it.
We'll talk more about Notre Dame and college football tomorrow on the main show. Yes. The new top 25 came out. So some movement. Some movement has happened, especially considering Florida State. So that was fun.
And as of this recording, the Florida State fan still has not fulfilled his promise yet.
We got to say, listen. I understand. Listen, as an Eagles fan, know all about eating some sort of manure or fecal matter.
There you go.
Now, again, the last time you guys did it was because you won something. So this time is because so maybe it's a little tougher on the palate when you also have to do it because of a loss. But see, this is the thing, and this is the problem. And I blame Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless and all that for this. Mostly Skip. Everybody feels now like they have to make some kind of absurd, ludicrous statement.
Yes.
When it comes to sports, something because it's the only way you get noticed. The only way you get noticed is if you say something really out there. Just I'm so confident that I'll eat a hat. I'm so confident that if this win or they lose or I'll get a tattoo or I'll carry this out there. I'll wear a diaper in the middle of the street. Whatever the case is, everybody feels like they have to go so far above and beyond what they have to do. And here's a little lesson for everybody out there. No matter how... listen, I'm not going to say confident. I'm hopeful about Daniel Jones. I'm hopeful about the New York Giants that we're not going to have a completely ass year.
Yes.
I'm hopeful for that. I am. But no matter how confident you are, no matter how hopeful you are, no matter how much you want to double down on your team and everything like that, you need to stop. You need to think before you hit send on the internet, before you record a video, before you do any of that. Because this is the problem. Because now you have a gentleman saying, I will eat dog shit if we lose to Boston College. And then not only did you lose,
yeah,
you didn't lead at all during the game. There at no point in that game was Florida State close.
Yeah.
Like they might have been within a touchdown once or twice. But anybody who was watching that game wasn't close. It wasn't close.
Yeah.
So don't make such declarative statements. Be like, hey, I'm confident. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to beat Boston College. Or we're going to do it. Leave the I will eat dog shit or I will get a tattoo or I will do any other stuff. Leave that over there. Leave that behind where nobody else can see it. Because guess what? If you went out there on Twitter and said, I'm so confident, yeah, Florida State's going to beat Boston College, no way. Guess what? There's a million other tweets like that from Florida State fans out there. They're, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna get it, whatever. The moment you say I'm going to eat dog shit, you now have put the spotlight on you.
Yep.
Barstool was all over it last week. They've been highlighting. They kept on reposting it for like the whole week, being like, "Here's this guy. He says he's going to eat dog shit if Florida State loses." Like, you've made yourself the center of attention. Don't do that. You don't need that smoke. We don't want it. We don't want to do this. We don't want to be talking about you. You've done this to yourself. Don't do it. This is what I'm saying. Don't do it. And that's what I'm not doing. I'm definitely not doing that when it comes to my New York Football Giants and how much I really hope they're going to do well. And we'll get to those predictions in a little bit. Right now, we're going to do the countdown now. This is the countdown portion of the Super Show here, of the merged, of the mega powers, as it were. Yeah, brother. Yeah. It's the powers. Too much power, brother. So let's jump over to where we go ahead and check things out here on the countdown, where we're seeing our. This is going to be the first time we see the full, complete list, Jimbo, for both you and I.
Okay.
Here for our power rankings for the countdown, and I think we've talked enough, we've bullshitted enough, we've talked enough about you getting crabs in Maryland and somebody in Florida trying to eat dog shit. Which, also, to be fair, not the weirdest thing that's happened in Florida.
No.
That's the other thing I think we have to realize here, and he should probably realize that too. Like, just do it, get it over with, and move on. Because you know what? There's going to be something that happens in about 2 hours in Florida that's going to overtake you eating dog shit. It really is. So, without further ado, Jimbo, your final preseason NFL top 12 power rankings. Who's your number one?
I mean, it's kind of obvious. If you know,
we don't
it's
know
Kansas City Chiefs.
You never know. You never know who it's going to be.
It's the Kansas City Chiefs. If I were to put them not on this list, then I would need to be put in the psych ward and reevaluated to if I should be out in public. This was probably the easiest one of all 12. They just feel like the Patriots dynasty type, where you got to pick them until they show any signs of slowing down or you know, someone else is going to compete with them. And the scary part is I think they're better than they were last year just because of the wide receiving group.
Yeah. Well, first of all, they cut Kadarius Toney, so that's an addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
Which I know it's a joke for everybody saying, like, oh, of course they got better. They cut Kadarius Toney. But, you know, even with that, it's true. And now you're talking about last year, it seemed like the Chiefs finally had some chinks in the armor. It seemed like there's something wrong. It was like, this is your time, everybody. This is the time to get them. If you're going to get them, now's the time. They get into the playoffs. All of a sudden, they have to go on the road in the playoffs. They have to play at home against the Dolphins in -9-degree weather, which, you know, okay, the Dolphins did not want to be there. That was clear. So they did that. But then they had to go to Buffalo. And that, I mean, if you want to talk about the opportunity, that was the Bills' opportunity. Yeah. And I think the unfortunate thing for the Bills is that window is now closed. As, again, we look at both your and mine, which we'll get to mine in a second, power rankings, we don't have the Bills on there.
Yeah.
We both think that Bills window is pretty well shut. And I know there's some people out there who think Josh Allen is the second best quarterback in the league. I think he would be if he had Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
I think without Stephon Diggs, I think he's, and this is going to be insulting to my own guy, he's Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Josh Allen to me is Daniel Jones if Daniel Jones had Stephon Diggs, but he doesn't have Stephon Diggs anymore. So this is where we are. That's a hot take. I know. Oh my God, I'm doing the Skip Bayless thing, but that's been my thought for a while.
I'll say this. You know, if you guys go back to when we first had our number 12 on our list show, I said I actually did power rankings from 1 all the way down to 32, and from what I remember, I have it on my computer here, but I think I had the Bills like in the 20s, like 20 to 23, somewhere around there. Like, that's how bad I think they're going to have a rough season this year.
I don't know. See, here's the thing. I don't know if I have them going to be that bad. And listen, they may still make the playoffs. I don't have them making the playoffs in my picks and my predictions that I did already, but they can. Like I said, and my predictions are like, this is not me saying that's what's going to happen. That's me saying based on my opinion and what I think about. And again, we're two idiots.
Yeah,
we're not football expert. And here's the other thing I want to point out. And I say this all the time when we're on the show. Me and Jimbo here, not football experts. We're not people here. We don't dive into the analytics. We don't dive into all that stuff. We look at some stats. We look at some numbers. We look at some players. Sometimes we get players wrong. I've done that more than once. But the funny thing is, all the football experts, not much experts either. You know, And everybody else
Yeah.
out there who does, who do shows like this or do things like this on YouTube or do this on podcasts on Spotify and all the other things, which you can also find us on as well. Like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, by the way. Thank you. That's all. Like, if you look at how some of these people are, like everybody looks at, Mel Kiper Jr. Mel Kiper Jr.'s got this aura about him that he's an expert. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to draft, when it comes to players and players' talent. Go look at this track record. No, the fuck he doesn't.
Yeah.
Listen, people who are being paid to be general managers of teams, people you would think are football experts. If they were all football experts, all these teams would be great. That's not how that works. It's like, it's so my opinion is that not everybody out there is experts. And not only that, I don't think anybody's an expert.
And to take your point like a step further, like you may look at QBR as a better stat reader, whatever you want to call it, compared to me of saying I rather have all the touchdowns, all the passing yards, and maybe a little bit more interceptions just to get those touchdowns and passing yards, which would bring their QBR down. So everybody is different because of what they believe is a better stat to go by.
And that's kind of my thing. Like my whole thing has always been numbers never lie. Numbers don't lie. Numbers never lie. And that's not entirely true because people can cherry pick numbers to make them say. Again, I've done it too. I've cherry picked the numbers that have proved my point about Daniel Jones and Josh Allen essentially being the same quarterback. Yeah. And if you look at those numbers that were presented, which the stats themselves were not altered. I didn't alter any numbers. I didn't change anything. Anything like that. I showed the numbers. And that's what it looks like. But then you talk to some people and they say, you're crazy. You're insane. How could you say that? Look at the eyeball test. And that's what I mean. Is that people are going to have a different view of things. And the stats will show you one thing, but it doesn't show you everything.
Yeah.
And that's why I've also not been super down on Daniel Jones. I think clearly there are issues there and that he's had in his career, whether it was in the beginning with his inability to hold on to the ball and fumble it all the damn time and all this stuff. I think a lot of it is offensive line problems and things of that nature. But I also think I've seen great things there as well. Like the way he's able to move with his legs. Again, he was... what was it? 2 years in 2022, he was the fastest. He had the fastest running play in the NFL that year. Granted, he stumbled on the 5-yard line, but until that point, it was still the fastest that anybody ran. He got the name Vanilla Vic for a reason because if you had Daniel Jones, you bet the over on Daniel Jones rushing yards. You were hitting it no matter what.
Yeah,
like you were getting those points. So I mean, there is there, and again in 2022, he showed improvement. He showed that he can throw the ball. He showed that he is accurate. He shows that he can lead a team to the playoffs, to a playoff victory against a team that had 13 wins at home. We don't talk about the divisional round, but I mean it's there. So, but to that point, like numbers, as much as we like to think they don't lie, they can lie in certain situations. So I don't. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm an expert. I'm not saying here that anybody's an expert. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is I think I don't think the Bills are going to have a good year. I think their window may be closed. Does that mean that they're not going to make the playoffs? So they're not going to do anything? That's not true. I don't think that either. I think they very well could. I think, again, the NFL is always full of surprises as the season progresses and moves on. So who knows? Who knows? But it's something that definitely wasn't a surprise is you having the Chiefs there at number one. So if we're going to take a look at it, that is Jimbo's complete, full preseason top 12 power rankings. He has the Chiefs at number one, the Lions at number two, which actually surprised me. But you're not the only one with that opinion. I've seen a lot of people high on the Lions. Number three, you have the San Francisco 49ers. At four, you have the Baltimore Ravens. So you have last season's championship game, all 4 teams as your top 4 to start off this season. So not really any huge surprises up there other than maybe positioning. But that's where you have that. Then you have the Texans at 5th. C.J. Stroud hoping to go ahead and have build on his rookie year. You have the Browns at 6. The Eagles, your Philadelphia Eagles, at 7, looking to rebound from quite the epic collapse at the end of the 2023 season. 8, you have the Cincinnati Bengals, who Jamar Chase still hasn't signed yet, but he's there. But he's practicing, but he's not practicing, but he is there. So we don't know what's going on there. Who knows what can happen? By the way, Trent Williams today, not officially signed yet, but apparently they're just hammering out some of the details. But he's going to be there and playing on Monday night. So San Francisco is loaded to bear starting off the season against the New York Jets. You have the Dallas Cowboys at 9 with all of their, Cowboy stuff. That's all going on.
Their yearly Cowboy stuff.
Number 10, you have the Miami Dolphins, which some people think are low. I can see that too. I actually thought about maybe changing my picks around already, but I was like, we're already halfway through it. I can't do that. But the Dolphins are definitely a team that a lot of people are saying could win the division. That this is their time. They are set up for it. This is Tua time. This is Dolphins time. This is their time to shine. So we'll see how that turns out. You have the Packers and Jordan Love at 11. Some people might think that be a little low, but again, this is the preseason rankings. By next week, all of this could be changed. You have no idea how this is going to go starting next week. And then you have the Jets rounding out your top 12 at number 12. Aaron Rodgers coming off the Achilles. The Jets still have not signed Hassan Reddick, and it doesn't look like they're going to. So that is a huge thing, but the Jets defense is still very stacked, very good. They have tons of weapons on the offense. I think the question for the Jets really is the offensive line, if they've improved at all. So we'll see how that turns out for you and the power rankings as we move along in this season. And now, for me to reveal my number 1 pick, and this is going to shock some people. This one's going to turn some heads. I might get some hate mail. I might get some hate mail on this because it's exactly the goddamn same. Because it is the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. I think it's clear. The Chiefs is the Chiefs until somebody knocks them off. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Last season, I think, was the best opportunity for anybody to beat them. And again, Miami again didn't have much of a chance in that Kansas City, weather. Buffalo, that was Buffalo's chance.
Yeah.
Against them, and wide right, unfortunately, again, comes to bite Buffalo in the ass. Then they go up against the Ravens, who look to be the clear favorite. They were playing at home. Lamar Jackson MVP season. Just everything seemed to be going in the Ravens' favor, and they just laid an absolute egg at home, and Kansas City ends up going to another Super Bowl, where then the 49ers and Brock Purdy battle them into overtime, get into overtime, and then they lose it in overtime because they don't know how overtime rules work. So, again, there were 3 massive opportunities for other teams to knock off the Chiefs. They didn't do it. And now the thing is, I think the Chiefs are better this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
And they all seem to have this 3-peat chip on their shoulder. It's like they to a man, it seems like their motivation is, we want that 3-peat. We want to win this. That's what we want. We want to be historic.
Yeah.
We want to be the team that's never done it, and that we're the first team to do it. So that seems to be their goal, their motivating factor. And you got a team that's motivated. Travis Kelce is still an absolute elite tight end. Patrick Mahomes again, he threw a pass behind his back in preseason, and it was a completion for a first down. Like, who knows? And as we look at Tay Swift up there on the board as well, she's apparently writing up plays for them. So who knows what we're saying? Like I said, I would be tickled if their audible call, instead of like Omaha or Cleveland or whatever the other ones use, if they start just go shake it off, I will laugh my ass off. It'll tickle me. It'll be fun. But
Travis stands up in motion and starts doing the shake.
just start shaking it all. Yeah. Oh, that's good times. That's good times. I'm excited. Well, she's probably going to be there Thursday. I would think so. Of course, her tour is on break, so she should be there, and there'll be plenty of coverage, and there'll be some asshole bitching about it on Twitter somewhere. God, they're showing Taylor Swift again. This ain't the football I grew up with.
Yeah, no. About how she's mentioned and shown more in the NFL hype video than some of the players, like Joe Burrow.
Listen, because you're trying to bring in eyeballs, and there's nothing fucking wrong with it. What, are we going to go back to looking at fucking Rob Lowe with his NFL hat on? I would rather look at Taylor Swift. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. Just call. Maybe that's just a personal preference of mine. I would rather look at a gorgeous blonde 34-year-old superstar than Rob Lowe wearing a generic NFL hat. As being like, I'm just here to enjoy the game. Who gives a shit? And then you might be saying the same thing. So if you don't get, like, if they're like, who gives a shit if Taylor Swift's there? Apparently you do, because you can't stop bitching about it.
Yeah.
If you don't like her being on the screen for literally 3 seconds after they show Travis or they show her, just remind everybody, hey, Taylor Swift's here. Yes, she's the biggest star in the world. Deal with it. Like, it's not that big a fucking deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my thing. I've been around enough Swifties, I guess, that I see the things from their perspective too. And also, like, the female viewership for the Super Bowl was something like 46% or something was female, and young females at that was watching the Super Bowl. You're going to you wonder why the NFL is showing her so much? That is why, because they're building a whole brand new audience with a whole new demographic that never would have watched football before. Yeah. And now you have daughters sitting with fathers and brothers watching football, into it, asking questions, doing like, I don't understand how people see that as a bad thing. I didn't see it then. I don't see it now, but they're still bitching about it. Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, that is my top 12 NFL preseason power rankings. Chiefs at number 1. I have the 49ers at number 2. I have the Baltimore Ravens at number 3. That's 3 of the 4 of the Final Four last year. Sneaking into the top 4, I have the New York Football Jets. What are you breaking over there?
I was trying to time when the ice was getting dropped.
I see what you're doing. I have the Jets in at number 4. Again, I think that defense is good even without Hassan Reddick. If Hassan Reddick actually gets the head out of his ass and just reports and plays and then says, screw it, I'll go to free agency afterwards, fine, whatever. But all he's doing is hurting himself now.
Yeah.
Because now it's game checks. He got like $4 million in fines, as it were. Now you're talking game checks. So, you're holding out because you want money. You're doing nothing but losing money right now. So I have the Jets at number 4. I have the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love at number 5. I think they're going to have a really good season, despite where I had them in the division. Although I had them doing very well in the division, I still have them below the Lions. Even though in my power rankings I have the Lions below them, I have the Lions beating them in the division. It's a confusing situation, but like I said, things evolve as the season goes. That's why this is the power rankings as they stand now. As it stands now, this is how I have it. I have the Texans at number 6 with C.J. Stroud. Again, I think he's going to build on a year. I don't think there's going to be a sophomore slump down there. There's just too many weapons, too much on the offensive side. The defensive side is something you might have to worry about, but for now, I think the offense is well. Lions at number 7. Again, I'm a little concerned about there being a bit of a hangover. Lions, first-time success in forever, and there might be a little bit of that. Maybe they think they're better than they are, or a successful hangover, as it were. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I think that could be a situation that they have there in Detroit, and that's why I have them a little bit lower. Again, they could prove me wrong in week 1, and then they're right back up there. Because they got a big game. They're playing against the Rams at home. Granted, it is at home, but the Rams are no slouches. Even though I don't have them on my power rankings, they maybe should be. And that's, again, I think there's some things here looking back on it. Maybe I would have changed with some of the teams I have on here or don't have on here. But the Rams are a very good team. So we'll see what the power rankings look like on next Tuesday, because that's it. Next Tuesday, it's going to be the first power rankings after a game. We're going to be in the season then. We're here, buddy.
Yeah.
We're already here. I have the Eagles at number 8. Can they rebound from the end of the season last year? There's a lot of question marks when it comes to the Eagles. Kelsey's not there. You don't have Cox anymore. Giggity. There's still questions now about Sirianni and his coaching style, his ability. Does he still have the locker room? Yada, yada, yada. Lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff still going on. So I'm interested to see how that goes with the Eagles. 9, I have the Bengals. Joe Burrow, I think, is one of the better quarterbacks in the league, if not the second best behind Patrick Mahomes. He's got the talent there. Jamar Chase, whether he signs or not, he might play for them. I don't think he's going to hold out for a whole season or do anything like that, kind of like Hassan Reddick is doing. But, again, he's there. He's reported. He's not practicing per se, but he is on the field. He practiced once last week, but he's there. Maybe there's things going on. I don't know. Behind the scenes. But, again, I think the Bengals, and they have a good defense. They have. I think the Bengals are still one of the better teams. That's why I still have them up there. Dolphins at 10. Again, that could be low, considering how the Dolphins are. Now, again, the Dolphins looked really good in the early part of last year, and then they kind of fizzled towards the end. And then, that was the thing. They had a chance to get a home playoff game last year, blew it against the Bills at home. And that's what made them travel to cold-ass Kansas City. So Can they get better? Can they build on what happened last year and get themselves a home playoff game so they don't have to play in frigid-ass cold? We'll see. I have the Browns at 11. That defense is great. If you can get Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson back, the Browns are going to be good. If you don't get Deshaun Watson to start playing like he did before the shit,
yeah.
That's going to be a problem for the Browns. So that's why I have them as 11. They're kind of there. And the Buccaneers, this is where I probably should have maybe looked at some other teams, shuffled some other teams around, maybe put the Rams up there higher and everything like that. But this is what I picked 12 weeks ago, and this is what I stuck with. This is what I mean. We picked these 12 weeks ago.
Yeah.
This was our power rankings 12 weeks ago.
Well,
before training camp, before who signed, who didn't, who's holding out, who's not, anybody traded, injured, all that stuff. This was what we had. So, and we kind of stuck with it, where we could have started moving things around. But I had the Buccaneers at 12. I still think they're the class of the South, although the Falcons have made a shit ton of moves, a lot of trades. They have bolstered their defense. The Titans as well. The Titans have made a ton of moves on their defense. So I'm interested to see how that plays out as the season goes. Like I said, these picks were made 12 weeks ago. So we'll see how this all looks and how much of it changes as we hit next week. I'm imagining in those little boxes on the side there's going to be a lot of NRs, not ranked, because we're going to have a lot of people move out and a lot of new teams move in. That's going to be interesting. So that is going to go ahead.
I'll say one thing about your number 12 pick.
Go right ahead with the Buccaneers.
I am guaranteeing a win this week because they're playing the Redskins.
You just wanted to say it, didn't you?
Yes, because when I saw that, he didn't say it once. Like, I could see, like, okay, you slipped up once, but he said it twice within, like, a 10, 15 second span.
Oh, yeah.
Todd Bowles.
Bowles, that was it. Florida's
I
up in Minnesota.
I think he did something like that last year, too. Like, he thought he was playing Team A, but he called them Team B. Like,
well, but that's it. But listen, that's not the first time something like that has happened this offseason. Like I said, do you remember the coach of the Washington football team of Redskin Commanders? He wore the shirt that had the new Commander W, but had the Redskin feathers on it.
Yeah.
And everybody lost their mind. They were like, "Oh, they're going to bring it back? That's actually a pretty good logo, good mashup. Maybe they should do that, bring it back." And it was a whole thing, and he had to apologize or something like that. It was a whole damn thing. The thing is that part of it almost feels like you're going to have the people who dig their heels in and say, "No, never changing it. Not going to change it. Not going to change it." The owner said they're not going to change it. Harris said he's not going to change it. I don't know if the NFL would approve it or not. Like, for whatever the reasons, I said they're not going to change it. but part of it almost feels like just fucking change it back. Like it's it's nothing else is good. You have nothing else good there. Like nothing else is working. Like it just I don't know. I don't know where I really fall on it. Like again, I grew up with the name. I think it's a good like I've seen enough a majority, a lot of people, especially of Native American, indigenous ancestry, say they have no problem with the name. In fact, they like that, especially the logo, whether the name or something. That's the other thing too. They threw the logo out with the name. Should have kept the logo. Change the name. If you want to change the name to the Washington football team and then have the logo, or call them the Washington Americans, or whatever, something like that. I don't know. I don't know what other compromise there could have been, but that logo was great. Again, you see a lot of arguments from indigenous people saying how much they didn't like the logo, and that even if some people wanted the name changed, the logo should have stayed. You also see a lot of the other people arguing about, how it should have been changed, it should have never been there, and it's offensive, and that stuff. There's been arguments on both sides, featuring both white people and indigenous people on both sides, which is, crazy to think about. But not to jump into the political part of it, which I'm not going to do. It just seems like everybody still knows them as the Washington Redskins. And, that is what it is. Again, I was making fun of the fact they had so many different names in such a short time. That's why I called them the football team of Redskin Commanders. Because it actually kind of fits, too. But I'm interested to see... Because, again, they got Jaden Daniels. There seems to be a lot of hope. I don't want to say hype, but there's definitely a lot of hope there in Washington. In Landover, Maryland. Pardon me. Since everyone wants to say, oh, yeah, Giants and Jets play in Jersey. Okay, you play in Maryland. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying to curse less. I'm trying to curse less. I am. I really am. Okay, so that's going to close out the countdown portion of the Super Show, because that's it. The countdown's done. We've counted them down. Finally, all 12 of our power rankings have been counted down. So now it's time. We're going to switch on over to the Friday forecast. Look at that. Everything's right there. It's so perfect. But anyway, this is now the Friday forecast portion of the Super Show. We have predicted every division. We started off with who do we start off with? Was it the West or the East?
The East. So we basically went like left to right.
We went
down,
East,
right to
West,
left.
and then West, East. Yeah, that's right. So we did start off with the AFC East at first. We both think the Jets, were winning the division. And we both think the Patriots are finishing last. Actually, I think we had it the same for that one. I think we had Jets, Dolphins, Bills, Patriots.
It's just the record. I think we had like 1 or 2 games off.
Right. The AFC North, I think, is going to be the best division in football. I think all 4 teams are actually making the playoffs. That was my kind of bold prediction for the AFC then, the way kind of everything shook out. I had all 4 of them making it. Even the Steelers, with as shitty as their quarterback situation is, and it's not great. It's not great. But a point I think I made to you a while ago was that they made the playoffs last year with bad Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
So that defense can do anything it wants. And that's what's good. If they get into the playoffs, if they have a winning record again, if they get into the playoffs, it's going to be because of that defense. It's certainly not going to be because of the offense or the quarterback play. I think we can agree with that. I think everybody can agree with that. And we had the South. Of course, we have the West, where Chiefs is the Chiefs until they're not the Chiefs anymore, and they're still the Chiefs. Then we did the NFC West, where we both think the Niners are winning. We did the South, which I had. Did we both have the Buccaneers winning that? I think we both had the Buccaneers winning the South. We both had the Lions winning the North. And now it is time to talk about our home division, the NFC East. And to see where we have our guys, our boys. Jimbo, of course, as always, you're going to go first. I'm going to pop it out here on screen. We're going to see what you think, and you're going to explain yourself. So here we are. Jimbo, your NFC East prediction.
All right. So, obviously, I have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, Giants aren't going to do shit. Commanders aren't going to do shit. Dallas is Dallas. No, but I think originally I had the Eagles like 15-2, and when I was going through all my picks and stuff like that, and I'm like, even as an Eagles fan, I'm like, yes, we upgraded our defensive backs, some of the defense, but like you said, Jason Kelsey, what's Cam Jurgensen? How's he gonna take over for Kelsey? We have the weapons, the offensive weapons with A.J. Smith and Devontae Smith, but there's question marks. So I went back through, and I think I found like 2 games that was like toss-ups. So that's why I got them at 13-4. Dallas. Let me
9
say
and
this.
8.
So when I did this, this was before the CD Lamb holdout, even though he's signed his contract. But I think the bigger issue now is, what is Dak's relationship with Jerry Jones? The fact that they asked him, did you hear about Jerry Jones' quotes about his contract? And he just flat out and came out and said, I stopped listening to Jerry years ago.
No, he said, I stopped listening to what Jerry Jones says to the media years ago.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people who misinterpreted that. I think that's a misinterpreted what he was saying. I think that's a case of where he's saying, because what Jerry says to the media and what Jerry says to people behind closed doors, from what you hear from a lot of people, are 2 very different things. So I think that's kind of what Dak was getting at. He's like, I listen to what Jerry tells me. I don't listen to what he says to the media. I don't listen to that. That's how I interpreted that.
That's how he should have said it then, not how he actually did say it. Because like you said, it could be interpreted 2 different ways. How you just said it, that makes more sense if that's what he actually meant. So 9-8, I think, is a very, very generous record for them now. Micah Parsons is going to be Micah Parsons. He's going to be, he's going to be unstoppable again. It's just a matter of how much slower can you slow him down so he doesn't totally destroy your game. Giants 8-9. I'm curious to see what your record's going to be for them.
You have them like right there, like with the Cowboys. You have them right on that cusp of 500. Just with the 17-game schedule, nobody can be 500. But you have them as what is essentially a 500 team, almost the same as the Cowboys. You have them there's a 1-game difference between the Giants and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what your thoughts are on that.
And the reasoning being was one of your biggest issues last year, and the second issue, but the first biggest issue was your offensive line. I think the signings you did, it's not the greatest offensive line, but it's a hell of a lot better than what you had. So I think that alone is going to win you a game, maybe 2 games there, because you keep Daniel Jones upright. I think Daniel Jones, it's not a hot take, but I think he's going to be good this year. Not great, not elite, but good enough to get this team close enough to possibly a playoff spot. Bringing Brian Burns over made that defense already a lot better. I believe your defensive line is going to be better than it was
like our
last
defense.
year.
That's the thing. I like our defense. I heard some other people, and again, I don't like to put other, podcasters or streamers or anybody's names in my mouth. But like, I was watching a GPS on here the other day with Tom Grossi and Brandon Perna. They have a show, and they was kind of, and Perna is kind of along our lines of. I don't think that I think the Giants, while they're not going to be great, he thinks they're going to be better than what people think, and that he's giving them he's willing to give the Giants a chance. Whereas Tom Grossi is, Giants are going to stink. Giants are bad. Daniel Jones sucks. The only good thing about the Giants is Dexter Lawrence and Burns. Everybody else is garbage. That Giants, everything is bad. The offensive line is garbage. Everything like that. It's like, I think we've improved the offensive line. Again, is it a great offensive line? No, but it's anything that we did was going to be an improvement over the offensive line that we had last year, and I think we have that. We have a solid number 1 wide receiver now. He's a rookie, but even if you've seen some of the stuff he's done in training camp and in the preseason games, he's special. He's going to be something. Malik Nabers is going to be something special. I like the tandem in the backfield. I like Devin Singletary, I like that Gray kid. He's very nice. I mean, they seem to work well with what the offensive line gives them, whatever they can give them.
Yeah.
I think injuries can derail everything. I think the Giants don't have a lot of depth. I think that is definitely something that is going to cause problems. But along with what, like, that seems to be, I have the same thought process as you do and as Brandon Perna does of, do I think the Giants are going to be fantastic? No. Do I think they're going to be world beaters? No. But they're not going to be the worst team in the league. Whereas you have someone like Tom Grossi saying that the Giants are going to be dead last. The Giants have a chance. He has the Giants with the chance to be the worst team, have the worst record with them. And he says, like, I think the Panthers, I think he said, was another team. He has the Giants there. I can't see the Giants being that. Again, the Giants were terrible last year, and we didn't have the worst record.
Yeah.
And I think we're a better team this year than we were last year.
Yeah.
Might be marginal, but I think we are.
The only question mark I probably have for this team is Neighbors. I want to see how he reacts, because there's going to be games that he gets locked down. He may only have one catch for 4 yards.
Well, yeah, because they're going to double him, because that's where the Giants are going to have to start going to everybody else.
Yeah.
To go into Hyatt, to go in things like that. I wish we could still go to Hodgins, but we cut him for some goddamn reason.
But I just want to see his attitude. Is he going to snap off? Is he going to be a diva, or is he going to just?
All wide receivers are divas. That's the answer to your question is all wide receivers are divas.
Well, yeah, but how he handles it as a diva. Is he going to be, T.O. slamming helmets down? Is he going to be Stephon Diggs, things like that? Or is he going to be Chris Carter? Put his head down and just figure out a way to get open.
Well, that's not being a diva. Then that's just like, that's what I mean. Is I think it's, I don't judge based on kind of what a position player does. Like when you're a wide receiver, it almost comes part and parcel to the position is being a diva. I want the ball. Give me the ball all the time. I'm open all the time. All that seems to come with the territory of that. So I think that's something you just have to know. It's if it becomes a distraction.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. There are wide receivers out there who say, I'm open all the time. Give me the ball. I can do this. Everything like that. But it's still not a distraction because everybody's just like, he's a wide receiver. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's if he does, like, proposing to the kicking net, or if he, strips off his shirt and dances off the field and whatever.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't do that. Little Antonio Brown action there. Hopefully he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know about that. So we'll see. Again, I think me and you are going to be in agreement as far as the Giants goes. I don't think the Giants are going to be that bad.
I think they're going to be a fun. I think the games they're going to be in, they're going to be fun to watch.
I hope so. I hope it's just not boring.
I hope for your sake.
Because last season was rough. That was rough. That was a rough one to get through. That was really bad.
And then bringing up the rear here, we got the Washington Commanders, 5-12. New head coach, even though it's Dan Quinn, who's a hell of a defense coordinator. Wasn't bad in Atlanta. I just think
wasn't bad in Atlanta. He was a quarter away from winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but he'll forever be known of giving up that lead.
That's the unfortunate thing. But when you stop and think about it, it's like, think about how many things change if they win that game. If they just hold on to a 25-point lead with like 17 minutes left to go, he might still be down there.
Yeah. And then, rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be fun to watch this year as well. I think he's
a lot of hype around him. A lot of hype. That's
plays.
what I mean. A lot of people, because of him, are bumping Washington up.
Yeah. I mean, again, I forget where I had them. I know, obviously with 5-12, they're pretty low on my overall power rankings, but I think he's going to be fun to watch. There's going to be a lot of highlights of him this year, I believe.
Well, I will get into mine here too. We'll see. We'll see where we look. You can see the screen, right? I just want to make sure that.
So what, you got the Commanders like 15-2?
That would be an interesting take. I'm sure there's somebody out there who does have that, but that's not going to
That'll
be
be up there with the Florida State guy.
This is why. See, and this is why I like doing these predictions. I like talking sports and everything like that. But when I show you this, I'm definitely not going to be like, I'm going to put dog shit on. I'll eat dog shit if this turns out to be wrong. I'm not doing that. In no way do I have any confidence in that. But here we go. Here's my. Oh wait, by the way, just to go over it here. This is Jimbo's East. He has the Eagles winning the division at 13-4. He has the Cowboys all the way down at 9-8. Then he has the New York Giants at just a game behind at 8-9. And then the Washington football team of Redskin Commanders at 5-12. That's your NFC East, Jimbo. My NFC East is the Philadelphia Eagles. I do have them winning, but I have them at 9-8. I have this division being
pretty shitty.
Going to be a funky goddamn year, I think, for the NFC East. This is just my thoughts here. I have the Eagles at 9-8. Winning division.
That's the only shocking one for me.
I think that's going to take time. I think there's a lot still wrong there in Philadelphia, and I think there's a lot of pieces that still have to fit. I think we're actually still waiting to see if Jalen Hurts can be the difference maker and that kind of guy. I think there's a big question about that still. I think there's a big question about. Again, the offensive line, as you know, losing your anchor with Kelsey like that is a huge deal. And again, as we looked at the preseason, there was not a lot in the preseason that made everybody say, yeah, real happy with this. Really, really feel good about this. Again, I think the Eagles have a little bit of an issue. The same with the Giants do is in depth. I think the Eagles don't have nearly the depth that they should or that they would like. They do they're great at receiver. They have a ton of great receivers. They have Saquon. If he can stay healthy and if he can be effective, they'll be fine. But I think that's the big question too. Is yes, you got Saquon. That's a big deal. That's a big thing. But can he stay healthy for the season? That is going to be a question. Now he stayed healthy last year, but I think he's going to have also a lot of workload on him this year. And then you have the defense for the Eagles, which again, more question marks there, I think. Now you got Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He looks good. I'm not gonna lie, that brother looks fantastic. And I think there are pieces there, but can everything mesh? Can Sirianni capture that magic he had 2 years ago? Because it seems like he lost a lot of that last year. And like I said, everybody focuses on the second half of the Eagles season last year, where they fell off. They lost 5 of 6, I think, of the last games. They lost to the Giants, almost lost to the Giants twice, considering that Christmas game. Lost to the Seahawks, lost to the Cardinals, which might have been worse than losing to the Giants. All of that, but people forget, too, that earlier in the year, the Eagles were barely squeaking out games and also lost to the Jets. You should have lost to the Bills. I think if it wasn't for a bad call there on one of the Bills' drives, I think there was like a horse collar or something that they didn't call. That should have been called, or whatever the case is. But the Eagles were lucky to get away with the win against the Bills. They lost to the Jets and Zach Wilson. There were signs there already throughout the early part of the year that something was wrong in Philadelphia. And it just seemed to compound and compound until the last half of the year. It all fell apart. Can they fix that? And I think that's going to be the challenge this year for the Eagles. And I think they're going to have a lot tougher time than people think. I think the positive for the Eagles is that I don't think the rest of the division is going to do any better.
Yeah.
Again, I have the Giants here at 8-9. That's my Giants. I have them 8-9. Same record that you have, because I think that's what we're looking at. I think we're looking at a team that is going to be better than a lot of people think. Not great, but better than people think. I think we're there as far as that 500 team. I think we'll win a couple games that people think we shouldn't. I think, of course, we're going to lose some games which everybody thinks we should and probably will. But I think the Giants are going to show an improvement. I think Daniel Jones is going to show an improvement. Is it going to be enough to where the Giants say, we'll pick up the rest of your contract and do that? Or do the Giants still want to look at somebody else? I don't know. Like, I think at this point, in order for the Giants to keep Daniel Jones, considering how everybody, the media has been around it and the story around him is, he's going to have a spectacular goddamn season.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, even if he has a good enough season, I don't think it's going to be good enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a problem, unfortunately, with fans and with the staff there. So I think with this record, I don't know if Daniel Jones comes back next year. Even with this record, if the record is any worse than this, he's definitely not coming back.
Yeah.
I think the surprise on here that people are going to look at, maybe you do, maybe everybody else does, I don't know. Not so much that the Eagles win the division at 9-8, but I have the Cowboys at 7-10, and I know a lot of people are going to go out there and say, "You're just an asshole." And while that is correct, there's a couple reasons. One, fuck the Cowboys. Okay, I'm cursing less, but I still get that one. Fuck the Cowboys. I'm a Giants fan. Fuck the Cowboys. They're shit. I hate them. So that's reason enough for me. All right? I'm just going to be a biased bastard. Yeah, I'm a little biased. Kiss my ass. I don't care. Now, to put a little reason with my bias, what a mess. Like, what a mess. Listen, could it galvanize the locker room? Could it galvanize some players? Could they go out there and still? Yes, they can. The Cowboys can go out there and be 15-1. They absolutely can. They have the talent. They have that ability. The Cowboys can be that great team.
Yeah.
The problem is the Cowboys could have been that team and that great of a team for the last 25 goddamn years. And every year, they're not that team.
Yeah.
They just aren't. And now you're dealing with this offseason with all this other stuff going around inside. And now you have this thing going on with Dak. And if the way you interpreted Dak's statement is the way he meant it, then that shows that there's a bigger divide between Dak and the organization and Jerry than anybody thought. Now, again, Dak's going to want to go out there and ball out.
Yeah.
Because he's going to go for, like, I'm going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. And I think he's still going to be, even if he doesn't have a good year this year, I think he's still going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league if he hits free agency. That's just, I don't think there's anything he can do or not do. Like, unless he just loses his mind and takes a shit on the 50 on the Thanksgiving Day game, there's nothing that's going to make people say, well, I'm not. And even then, someone might say, hey, it shows he's got guts. I like him. Pay that man. Like, I don't think, I honestly don't think there's anything he can do that's going to have hurt his free agency market, unless he gets injured again.
Yeah.
But there's, okay. A couple things. Yes. Is there a little bias with this because I hate the Cowboys? Yes. But I hate the Eagles too. And I still have them winning the division. So shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear any of that stuff. There is a little bias, sure. But also, and this is completely unscientific. Completely unscientific. I understand that. You can yell at me and do anything like that. Completely unscientific. I just have a feeling. It just feels like something's not right in Dallas. It feels like something is wrong. And it just feels like 7-10. It just feels like it. And I can't tell you why. I can't put an absolute mark on it. But when I went and looked into the games and I picked all the games and I did everything like that compared to all the other ones and blah, blah, blah. And it came out to 7-10. And I was like, part of me was shocked too. But then I was like, it does kind of feel like that. Because let me see. Let me pull up how I had the Cowboys here. Let me pull up the Cowboys schedule.
They're basically like the Pittsburgh Steelers of Mike Tomlin. They're just 8-8 every year.
No, because again, the Cowboys had a great record last year. They won the NFC East.
Yeah.
They played well. They had a home game where everybody had them favored by a lot, and then they got crushed at home.
Yeah.
Let me look at what I have here for the Cowboys, and let me run down their schedule. They play against the Browns. I had the Browns winning in Cleveland.
Okay.
They play the Saints at home. I have them beating the Saints. So right there, 1-1. They play the Ravens in Week 3. I have that as a loss. Giants in Week 4 at MetLife. I have the Giants winning at MetLife. That could be one of those games. But again, we always talked about those games that, those games can happen. I think that's one of those games. Then they go to Pittsburgh and play the Steelers. I think with that defense, I think the Steelers win. Then we have the Lions going to the Cowboys in Week 6. I have the Cowboys winning that game. Because for some reason, Detroit going to Dallas, something's going to happen. There's going to be a missed call, a bad call. Something happens, going to fuck over the Lions, and the Lions going to lose. The last 5 times the Lions have gone to Dallas, that's happened. So I'm going to go with history on this one and say the Cowboys beat Detroit at home. Then there's a bye. Then Dallas goes out to San Francisco. One of those games, I have the Cowboys winning in Santa Clara. Then the Cowboys play Atlanta. I have Atlanta winning that game. And I actually think I'm actually more confident in that game now than when I made the pick. I think Atlanta really has improved themselves. And not just the offseason, but just in this training camp period. I think they got Matthew Judon now. They got I think the Falcons are going to be that kind of team. I do. Eagles against the Cowboys in Dallas. I have the Cowboys winning that game. Texans against Dallas in Dallas. I have Houston winning that game. So that's another loss for the Cowboys. Cowboys against Washington. Cowboys win. Giants against Dallas in Dallas on Thanksgiving. I have Dallas winning that game. Bengals versus Dallas. Bengals win that game. Cowboys versus Panthers. Cowboys win that game. Come on.
Yeah.
Buccaneers at Cowboys. I have Baker and the Bucks beating the Cowboys. Cowboys at the Link in Philly. Philadelphia wins that game. And then the last game of the year, Washington at Dallas. I got the football team of Redskin Commanders pulling off the late season win to just kind of give a last-minute FU to Cowboys, who, again, would just be trying to go for 8-9, and at this point basically tying the Giants to see who may or may not go to the playoffs or be in the second place. Now, here's the thing. The way these picks came out, because I did it on this chart thing and I did everything like that, the Giants at 8-9 make the playoffs.
That's what I mean. You don't need 10 wins to make the playoffs.
My playoff teams for the NFC, I have the Lions first overall. Then you have the Niners, the Buccaneers, and the Eagles rounding out your division winners there. So you have the Niners winning the West, Buccaneers winning the South, Eagles winning the East. So that's your 4 division winners. Then you have Green Bay at 13-4 as the first wild card. You have the Falcons at 10-7 as the second wild card. And then you have the Giants and the Seahawks tied at 8-9. But because the Giants would have the better conference record in the way this works out, the Giants get the tiebreaker. The Giants make the playoffs over the Seahawks.
Okay.
So that would be my NFC playoff teams.
Yeah.
So I literally had the Giants listen, I could have been a real asshole and had the Giants be 13-6, 13-4 here or something, and be an asshole. I'm not. Because I think the Giants are going to do better than what people think. I really do. Maybe it's just me with the blue-colored glasses on. I don't know. But I do. I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the league. Can they be worse than 8-9? Sure. Can they be better than 8-9? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think 8-9, 9-8, even probably 7-10 is and Giants. I think that's within the realm. I think between 7-10 and 9-8 is the window for the Giants. I do. I don't think they're any worse than that. I don't think they're any better than that.
Okay.
So that's how I have it. That's how I have my NFC East there. I have your Philadelphia Eagles winning at 9-8. Not double-digit wins for the Eagles this year. But again,
That's the only thing that surprises me with this.
it shouldn't be surprising. I don't think it should be surprising because I don't think I think the Eagles have a lot more concern than I think a lot of people are not. They're not seeing below the surface. I think people are still seeing the Eagles from 2 years ago, and I think that's the problem. I think people, your experts, your talking media heads and stuff like that, they're still seeing that Eagles team from 2 years ago that was an absolute juggernaut. We can all agree until they met the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
And they cheated, but go ahead.
No, yeah, they made Jalen Hurts fumble the ball.
Called a holding penalty that wasn't a holding.
It was. It very much was. But I think last year you saw there were some issues, not just so much in. Like that's the thing. The Eagles have the talent, but to be a good football team, you need more than just the talent.
Yeah.
You need the intangibles as they call them. And I think there's a problem there, and maybe Sirianni isn't that guy. Again, you had Peterson win a Super Bowl for you, was fired a year and a half later. You know, you can. It's easy to lose a locker room in Philadelphia, apparently, and that might be the case here. You know, there's a question. I think if the Eagles don't get off to a great start, like let's say they lose their first couple of games. Or start off like 1-4 or something. I don't know who they're playing. Hold on, let me see. What you're playing? The Packers, which I do have you as a loss. You have the Falcons. I have you beating the Falcons. The Falcons can very easily beat you. Mm-hmm. You should beat the Saints. You play the Buccaneers. Then you could lose to the Buccaneers. So let's say worst case scenario, you're 1-3 going into your bye. Yeah. But you have a very early bye too, which is not great.
Yeah.
You have a week 5 bye. So you could be 1-3 going into your bye. You don't think the calls about Sirianni get him out of here, get anybody else in there, I can coach better than that, doofus. You don't think that's going to get real loud there in the city of brotherly love? That's going to get very noisy.
Yeah, no, that seat will get hot.
And the thing, it's very possible.
Yeah.
The Packers are very good. And again, you already have the Eagles. You got Darius Slay sitting there saying, we do not want to go to Brazil. Nobody wants to go to Brazil. Nobody wants to do this. We don't want to be here. So you already kind of have this mentality kind of seeping through of just, man, we don't want to be here. And granted, whether you feel like that or not, you're like, hey, listen, it's a business trip. We're going down there, play football, and come back. That's what you should be saying. Yeah. You shouldn't be saying, man, I'll tell you what, none of us want to be here. Nobody wants to be there. If I'm an Eagles fan, that's a concerning statement.
No, it is.
So when you look at it from that standpoint, like then after your bye, you have to play the Browns, you play the Giants, you play the Bengals, you got the Cowboys, you got to play the Rams, which could also be a loss very easily. Like, honestly, if I was to go back and look at this, now that training camp is over and look at it, I would probably have you losing to the Falcons and losing to L.A. I might have the Eagles actually worse than what they are now. The Giants could win the division at 8-9.
That'll be funny if it does.
Division champs, baby. It's coming. 2024, baby. Division champs. Under 500 division champs. But we did it.
Or you'll eat dog shit.
Let's not. No. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I will eat a bowl of chocolate ice cream. You can swirl it to make it look like dog shit. I'll put some peanuts in there. Some little, those cool little crunchy things. Those Carvel crunchies. Oh, those things are so good.
Yeah.
Dude, the Carvel ice cream cake for your birthday, you were living high on the hog if you had that. Man.
Yeah.
That was the best. Still is. They have those little football cakes too. I should get one to celebrate the football season starting. Have a little football cake party, So,
just don't let the fiance put candles on because you won't see a cake no more.
well, no, well, the birthday passed, and she finally moved to just doing the number candles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because trying to put, because she does the one for good luck too, so it would be 44 candles on one of those little tiny personal cakes that you get from the grocery. It would literally start a fire. Because not only that, you have all that flame together, and then the wax is so close together. It's just, she did it the one time, it nearly started a fire. Like there wasn't individual candle flames. It was all just one big flame. It was concerning. It concerned me. Like I blew out the candles not to make. I wished that there wasn't an inferno, and I barely got my wish. Barely.
Yeah.
So that's my NFC East. Eagles win it 9-8, but it definitely can get worse. I have the Giants at 8-9. Cowboys with a lot of tumult and drama behind the scenes. That's the other thing too. Nobody talked about Mike McCarthy. Maybe not the best guy for that job. I'm just going to say it. I don't know if he's the best guy for that job. And that might be a problem too that goes into the whole Cowboy thing. 7-10, and the Washington football team of Redskin Commanders at 5-12, bringing up the rear. Although I think Jaden Daniels is going to be fun to watch. I think that's going to be great. Do you want to talk about a little playoff predictions here about who we got going on all the way to the Super Bowl?
Why don't we do it tomorrow for the regular show?
You want to do that? Really?
Well, because I have to actually take my mom to pick her car up.
Oh, right now?
When we're done. Like within a few minutes. So
that's it. Hey, listen. Duty calls. All right. Well, then we'll go.
That's why they need to tune in tomorrow.
Well, there's a lot to tune in for tomorrow. There's a lot to talk about. Motherfucker got shot over the weekend and walked it off like a boss.
Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall, baby. I'm gonna get it. I don't even like San Francisco, but I'm gonna get him a jersey because that dude is just a badass. So that was pretty cool. A lot of things to talk about. Day before the start of the NFL season. That's gonna be on the main broadcast for tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on this Countdown Friday forecast mega show, super show, bang, bang. It was great. If you want to go ahead and help us out, you can go to the donation station over there. Help us out. Merch store is right over there. You can get some cool merch. We got stuff going on there now as well. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Every little bit helps. Share us around like herpes. It's fantastic. We're trying to get monetized. Hopefully get this thing going. And your help is immeasurable. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, all the things you do. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it very, very much. But until tomorrow, for your good friend Jimbo, he's right over there. I'm your boy King. Football season 2 days away. Let's go. Adios.